Many of you have been asking me to write a book about my experiences on Skid Row. Well, I was way ahead of you. I'm finally putting the finishing touches on volume 1 of my 2-volume book about my career. A career that took this young black kid from Long Beach with a loathing of police officers to becoming an officer trying to right all the wrongs of the world with a pair of handcuffs, only to be led to Skid Row, a place that could easily be compared to Dante's Inferno, and desperately wanting out after witnessing the human tragedy that was allowed to exist in the most powerful nation in the world. To find my calling to help the homeless, the marginalized, and the forgotten. In this book, I want to humanize 3 groups of people: the homeless, law enforcement officers, as well as the people of faith, as currently there are many misconceptions about all 3. For the homeless, I need the world to understand the real reason why many are in the street, and the challenges they face in getting their lives back from addiction, mental illness, and even worse, both. For many, it is not their fault. It is the system and poor ideology that has failed them. As for the police, I need people to know that there's a story and a heart beating behind the badge of an officer, and a reason someone chooses to become one or remain. And for the vast majority, it is not to harm people because of their race, sexuality, or socioeconomic status. We are tasked to do the impossible as imperfect human beings. We are not simply let out of a box like robots and programmed to engage in systematic racism. We are simply a microcosm of society, tasked to be the tip of the spear when our system fails us all, and when politics and controversy are allowed to guide our efforts to keeping people safe. I need to show how my faith influenced many of the decisions in the field that I made, and how I became convicted to show love from my faith from a place that no one expected it. I want to show my growth as an officer and as a man, and the reality of how we are failing to solve the issue of homelessness by making it a partisan issue. Because in my mind, places like Skid Row were created by the negative extremes of 2 main political ideologies. They are equally responsible for this tragedy, and we will never solve homelessness through NIMBYism or humanism. With volume 1, I want to show how my family, officers I serve with, and the community shaped me into the officer I will become later in my career. Please remember, this is a story about growth. The officer I was then is not the officer I am now. I hope to release volume 2 in the spring of 2020. This book will show how I took my faith and the tragedies I saw and allowed it to drive me to create an environment conducive to change for the homeless and recovery community. Many times I did it alone. I need you to hear the stories of the surprising heroes from Skid Row who I partnered with to do so, as well as the surprising adversaries I had to battle to make those changes, and tragically, the true story of how it all fell apart. I can no longer be afraid to tell this story, because not telling it fails the people I serve and the incredible people I work with, as well as society as a whole. I hope you'll go out and get volume 1. I pray you will love it. Thank you. God bless.